I got a few different questions for you. So, first off, I guess before we get into anything, just I have a question because over on Fiverr you had said that you play a bunch of heroes.
Yeah.
So, do you mind walking me through a little bit of that? Because you say you're pretty much proficient with everything besides a couple of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. So like I just genuinely love the game. I like
Mm,
playing most of the roles. A lot of the time it's usually just me and a friend like
mm,
duo queuing. And so like I usually at the beginning when role queues first came out, I placed plat and everything but heals, which was
mm.
by far my weakest. But yeah, like mostly a main tank. Oh, and not main tank, an off tank. But I do like healing is probably my second most played.
Okay, and then what would you say that kind of that split is? Is it is it very evenish between the three roles, or do you have one that you play like most of the time?
Off tank is definitely the one I play most of the time.
Okay, so I still kind of would like a little bit more explanation of that because
Okay.
that depends on whether or not I go into talking about something here. I guess why don't I talk about it anyways? Just it'd probably be faster anyways. So the only reason why I'm asking about this is because that kind of gets into the topic of kind of spreading yourself too thin. So
Yeah.
the out of everything that I say today, feel free to ignore this one the most because this is really based off of personal preference and what your goals are while
Yeah.
playing. If you're just trying to have fun and you have fun playing a bunch of characters, and like you said, you love playing different characters, then go ahead and play whatever characters you want to play.
Mhm.
Though, if your goal is to climb an SR or improve or win games or whatever, then the fastest way to do that is probably to not spread yourself too thin. So,
Mhm.
as an example, let's say like you have 600 hours and you play like six different characters. And I think you play a little bit more than six characters, so that makes it even worse. But right, let's say you play six different characters and you have roughly 100 hours on each character, right? Now say you cut that in half, you bring it to three characters. Well, now you've
Yeah.
doubled your amount of time that you have learning play styles, like specific mechanics on the character, ability usage, ultimate usage, right? All the different things that are different on that specific character. Then you cut that in half again to go down to two characters. That now it's three times the amount of time. So
Yeah.
usually my recommendation is one role because spreading yourself every single role plays really different to each other, and then usually two to three characters. But of course, if you like playing everything, go ahead and play everything. Or maybe if you want to go in between, maybe just limit it by like a little bit, bring it down like a one roll, or bring it down a
Yeah.
couple heroes, something of that sort. That's just a recommendation. So out of everything I say, that's most up to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, DPS is by far my least played. Like
Mm,
my two most played heroes are Diva and Hall with 93 and 73 hours, and then my next
mm,
highest is 37 hours on Reaper. So like it's the vast majority of my playtime is on off tank.
okay. So then, couple questions just to get to know you. So first off, how long have you been playing Overwatch for?
I've been playing since the game launched.
Okay, so a long while. And
Yeah.
then let's say like the past 2 weeks or so, how often have you been playing the game?
Almost every day.
Okay.
Honestly, like my interest in the game has been rekindled recently,
Hmm.
and so like I've been playing a lot more. Like yesterday, I played for I think something like 7 hours.
Okay. So I see you're a silver border. That's for playing since launch. That seems like a slightly lower
I I
border.
I took yeah, I took a break for a
Mhm.
couple seasons, and I just like when I'd play, like I'd usually for a while I just do like a couple games of comp, I get tilted and I step away. It's like all right, I
Yeah.
don't want to be in this headspace. But like since then, I've kind of like learned to enjoy the game more and just like actually play and enjoy the more competitive aspect opposed to just winning and losing.
Uh huh. All right. So then that sounds all good. So final question for you. So do you have any questions for me before we begin?
No,
Okay. Well, then we can just go ahead and hop right into it, and I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
okay. Yeah, this game was weird. I think the entire time we had Doomfist and Torb on attack
Mm.
and they ended up going May almost the entire game.
Hmm.
So it was really hard to play into that.
Yeah.
And I have been one thing I've been really working on is like my quick scoping. I know that really helps a lot.
Mm.
My positioning is something I've really been trying to work on because I in my opinion that's my biggest flaw.
Okay. So yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that as we go through here. Yeah, one thing I would say just right off the bat is that we're positioning a little bit far back. Um, I'll start calling things out as I see them, but
Hmm.
we'll go more into depth as we see them continuing to come up. Here, we're just a little bit pulled far back when we probably should be a little bit closer. Ana is more of a mid-range character, and that's
Okay.
specifically because the further away you get, the harder it is to lend her abilities. Is
Yeah.
the big one, and then you can also get out of range of Nano as well. So, preferably here might be a little bit closer. At least when our
Yeah.
team was pushing closer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there I was playing back because I saw the diva kept playing in the alleyway there, so I was trying to
Mm.
make sure I had an angle on her when she like peeled back.
Yeah, which, like another alternative option is we can like maybe I don't know, I'm pretty sure you can
Ah,
climb this, climb that, then we just come in this room, or even just if we run up to and then climb up this stairway, right? Then we can peek her from this over here, and then
okay.
this puts us in kind of both worlds. And then if Diva
Yeah.
decides to wrap all the way around, then we can just drop back, heal her up,
Okay.
right? Just something like that, right? I don't think that sitting all the way back is super necessary to be able to heal the Diva. Um, Nade so far just kind of been chucking them in, not
Yeah,
really seeing them connecting.
they do get better as the game goes on.
Mm,
This was literally my first game of the day.
yeah.
Enemy contact. Thank you. Go. I'll keep you healed. This will only hurt
Okay,
for a
so
minute.
decent anti-nade there. Again, like positioning really far back here. Just so
I have your back.
so far ability usage wise, we're just kind of launching them in from super far away. So we'll talk in depth on how you can look to use those a little bit better. I want to keep going a little bit here to try to
Okay.
find some stuff to talk about, but I think we'll talk some in depth on like how you can look to do this better. But a big one is just gonna be your positioning sets up those abilities, and so far we're just like super far back, which just is gonna make it hard to
Yeah,
land
and I'm just
good
kind of
ones.
yeah, I'm just kind of eating my
Yeah,
grenades and sleep darts, hoping to hit something at this point.
exactly right. Make sure we're reloading just any opportunity we get. So like these guys aren't really needing healing at the moment, so we just want to get
Yeah.
ammo.
I've
So
seen
now
you.
we're looking
You're
for
right.
a nano boost
You're
here.
powered up.
We
Get
go
in
for the
there.
Zarya. Potentially could have also gone for the Doom there since he's kind of critical and he's going in their back line as an option. But
Yeah.
Zarya is also full energy right now, so that is a pretty
That
good nano.
that's why I went for her because she was high on energy. I
Yep,
usually do look for that.
yep,
Nailed
which
it.
is good. So I mean that's probably like the best one we could go for here. So and there was good timing with it as well. Um, all right.
This is going to hurt. Take your medicine. Nano boost is charging.
All right, so why don't we just talk about range real quick? So far we're having a very long range play style, which on Ana is okay. It's not terrible, though there are some things that the are probably gonna make it so that you prefer a mid-ranged play style. So here we're just
Hmm.
playing really far back. Probably want more of a mid-ranged. So reasons why? Well, first off, from a long range, it's gonna be very easy for people to get out of your line of sight, and you can't really move into your teammates' line of sight as easily, right? Whereas
Hmm.
if you're closer to them, then you're able to move into their line of sight better. Then the big ones are just your ability usage. Both of them are projectiles, and inherently, projectiles are much harder to land at distances than they are when you're closer to someone, right? Because you
Yep.
have to predict much further ahead, and it also gives them more time to see it coming and then therefore run away from. Like they can dodge it, they can shield it, they can bubble it, they can eat it with defense
Yeah.
matrix. They can just there's a ton of different things that they can do to stop it. So therefore you're going to find the highest value out of being closer to people, and on top of that it's also going to just, for example, with your nades, is going to give you better angles to go for nades. It's going to allow you to more accurately see when they're all clumped up together. Now it is okay to go for longer range ones, but it's not the range in which we prefer. And a lot of the times here, we're like sitting way too far back, and then therefore, for example, I've seen us. We're going for anti-nades, which is good, and that's what you want to be doing. But they're not very high value anti-nades because a lot of them, like we've thrown like we've gotten three, and two of them were like one single person
Yeah.
was purple, and then the second one was two people were purple, which isn't terrible. I mean, it's better than zero people being purple, but at the same time, you know, you are going to find more value with 3, 4, 5, 6 people being purple than
Yeah, of
just
course.
with 2 people.
Yeah.
So we want to look to get more value out of our nades in that sense. And then so far, not seen any sleeps connecting, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it was like thinking like 10 seconds ago when their Ryan charged in our back line. I did get a sleep on him. He got woke up, but
Okay. And then here we're just we're still backing up.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I see. I kind of peeled back a little too far there. Okay.
Watching your back. Get in there. I will keep you healed.
Okay, so positioning wise as well, now we have not been punished about this at all so far. One real quick, sorry. Just so you're aware, I am hearing a very slight echo through your mic, so that is slightly
Ah.
distracting. I'm not sure if
Okay,
you have a way
give
to
me
fix
one
that.
sec. I'll
Yeah.
turn down my mic sensitivity on Discord.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Dude, thank you for letting me know.
So basically, continuing on. So far, we have not been punished for this at all, but we are also positioning very far out in the open. So, for example, we've been constantly doing this. Here, we're standing up here, and we're backing up, and we're still standing right there. Not really any cover anywhere. We were also standing over here earlier, and then we were standing, like, over here earlier. Just kind of smack dab in the middle of the open. So why that is bad positioning, why don't we exit out to talk about this real quick. So we're at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm going to go to the training range. So basically how positioning works and how you can look to work on it, right? So
Never
this is positioning that will apply to every single character in the game, most FPS games out there. If we are standing right here, right, and there's an enemy team all standing over there, right, they're all shooting at us. It takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover. Now, from here, you can't shoot through solid objects, right? So we're safe. We're good. But in that time it took us to walk here, we died, right? Because we were too far away. Now, from right here, we can go, boop, can't see us, right? Half of a second, which is 6 times faster than the 3 seconds it took us, which means that this is much better positioning than that is. So the good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. Whereas so far throughout our game, we are not being punished on it, but we are very much so have been in the absence of cover for like the majority of it. Which I believe you're in gold, yeah? Yep. So that that's going to be just lower ranked players aren't going to punish it as much, but you try to go and hang out with plat players, now they're going to be punishing you more for that, and then therefore you're not going to be able to hang out with them. So just because the mistake's not being punished doesn't mean it's not a mistake, right? So here as well, just we can walk through some more of this. There's a bunch of different types of cover. You can use slopes, you can use pillars, right, in between shots when you're reloading, when you're dodging people out, right? You have corners, right? You have random objects that are sitting around, like the payload, right? You have pillar, corner, doorway, corner, and then high grounds. High grounds are all fantastic positioning. Now, we haven't actually gotten to any of them yet in game, but just to walk them through real quick, right? High grounds all act as natural cover the entire thing. They can see us, can't see us, can't see us, right? On top of that, most characters in the game can't get up to you, right? So that's an additional layer of survivability, right? And then the ones that can need to use abilities, and then that means that now they're out of abilities and you can like run away from them. Then finally survivability, or not visibility, right? So we can see stuff over here, over there, over here, over there, and then down here. And then if we drop to the low ground, now we can't see over there, can't see over there, can't see over there, none of the high ground, right? So high ground is going to give us a ton of visibility as well. So that's just all basic positioning. Now, moving on to some Ana-specific positioning. Now, this also applies to some other supports, but this isn't really going to apply to any DPS or tanks. But how Ana likes to position herself is she has kind of 3 boxes you're looking to check off. So box number 1 is, can I see my team? Now that one we're doing a pretty decent job of so far, right? We're maybe the only thing would be just like positioning a little bit too far back, and then that's putting some people out of our line of sight. But besides that, we seem to be doing a decent job of the first one. Number 2 is, can the enemy team see me? Now this one we're not doing so great in. So what that means is if we're, this is the fight happening right here. We're healing our teammates up. Enemy team's over there.
And a helicopter in minutes.
Can the enemy team see me? We don't want the enemy team to see
Yeah.
us if we're just healing people up, right? Because if we're healing, why do they need to see us when we could, for example, just come and do this, right? We can do the healing the
going to
exact
be
same,
okay.
right? We can do that, heal them up. If we need to land a nade or a sleep, we can peek and go for that, right? We can,
You
if
look
they're all
tired.
full HP, we can peek and go for some shots, right, or whatever. But
Hostile
we
down.
don't need, when
You're
we're
covered.
just in the middle of healing people, there's no reason to just put ourselves right here when this is going to get us shot, sniped, one-tapped, damaged unnecessarily, right? It's just unnecessary to let them
Watching your
actually
back.
see us in that situation. So whenever you're just flat up healing people, probably want to duck around the corner real quick, right? So
Okay.
usually you want to use cover, right? The usage of cover, is standing next to it, but then if we're
And a
flat up
helicopter
healing,
in
you're going to
minutes.
stand behind it and actually use the cover, right? Now, number 3 is can I land nades and sleeps? So this one is where you get into what you call off angles. So it's just looking to get your nades, especially your nades, because nades are like pretty much more powerful unless you're going for like a sleep on an ultimate. Nades are just in general more powerful than your sleep is. So it's specifically landing sleep nades, but it's just the large part of this is going for off angles. So let's say the enemy team's standing there and our team's standing here, right? If we're trying to get a nade in, we have to get past a shield. We have to get past our entire team who's standing in front of us, who all 5 of them can block it. We have to get past the tanks on the enemy team who could just like body block it and not let it get to anybody but just one person, right? So we have those 3 main obstacles, and then of course if we're hitting random walls and stuff, that could be kind of your 4th one, but hopefully let's assume we're not hitting walls all the time. So those are the 3 main obstacles you have in your way, right?
Okay.
How we can very easily get past that is just do something like this. Well, now we've just gotten past our entire team, right? Gotten past the shields, gotten past the tanks, straight into their back line, throw an aid, and we're back instantly. So that is what that is the main angle right here. This is a off angle. It's a different angle from the main angle. It was
Okay.
very fast, very safe, right? Another example, enemy team there, our team, main angle, just take a couple seconds here, come to the high ground, right? Now it's very safe up here. We already talked about how high ground's great positioning,
Yeah.
but we can also use it as an off angle as well. Our team, shields, tanks, backline, big fat team wide nade, right?
Okay.
Nades are fantastic. I've seen us using them for anti-nades, which is good. It doesn't seem that we're really, or like I like that we're intentionally going for the anti-nades. It's just that we're not getting good anti-nades. We're
I'm
just
not
kind of getting,
utilizing it as well as I
yeah,
could. Yeah.
exactly, right. So that's all the main Ana positioning stuff. One thing I would say is just make sure you're not going for flanks. The difference between an off angle and a flank would be if we just went all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, right? Now this is taking us twice as long. In
Yeah.
that amount of time, our team could be losing the fight, and we can't heal anybody from here. And then on top of that, this is much more dangerous, which is probably going to get us killed. There are some characters in the game that can get away with that and do that and actually find value out of that, though
Lights
Ana
out.
is not one of those characters. So,
Okay.
and most supports are probably not going to be those characters. You're not going to want to do that on most supports, because then that is not going to allow you to heal your team, and most supports also don't have very much healing. So that's
Yeah.
usually going to be the reason. So just avoid those.
Okay.
Go to sleep.
Okay, so we can get back into the game here. We are on Havana, yeah.
Yeah.
Traveling to Havana, ready for battle.
Okay, forgot what's your number here.
Donakins. It's
9. Yeah, you have to. They changed it, so you have to click the number, or you have to actually press the button rather than just click it, which sucks.
yeah, F9 or whatever. The F
Yeah.
numbers.
Okay, so you see here how we just kind of out in the open, no cover
Yep.
anywhere, and then that trend continues on this entire time. Let's get back to where we were, out in the open.
Fire at will.
Okay, no, I think here is where like we kind of ended.
Yep. It's right about here.
Yeah. So again,
Yeah, it's right there
out
at
in
the.
open.
Yep.
Hmm. And that was a good nade, right? It's always, you're always trying to get as many people in as possible, and
Mhm.
if your team's all grabbed, then that's a nade that healed up 2 teammates while also damaging someone. So not too shabby.
I do pretty well with not using my nade to heal, like teammates unless they need it, like they're desperate, like super
Yeah,
low.
which is exactly what you want to do, right? Is most of the time you you're actively looking for the anti-nade, but then if situations arise where healing is needed, then you swap over to the healing, right? Whereas a lot of Anas get that wrong, where they're like
Mhm.
heal, 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 heal. Oh, maybe I'll go for an anti-nade, right? All right, so here, um, so in this situation, I probably would be rotating, especially since we have other teammates who seem like they want to be doing this. Um, Basically on any payload map, right? So on payload maps, you have roughly 2 fights for every single point. So the first fight happens somewhere around this corner, second fight happens somewhere around the end. First
Okay.
fight happens somewhere on this corner, second fight happens at the end, right? Same thing on the third point. So that number is not going to change whether or not you have one person or 3 people on cart.
Okay.
So that number will change if you stagger the enemy team. If you stagger them, then that might mean that it's going to be less than 2 fights. Or if they win some fights, then it's going to be more than 2 fights. But it's 2 fights in a row, right? So
Okay.
here we probably could be rotating and taking like the high grounds, for example. This high ground's going to give us good positioning, give us good angles to heal our team, give us good nade angles and whatnot. And then that would probably be the best thing for us to be doing currently. Just keep in mind that in between fights, where you have like a good 20-second period, between the end of one fight and the start of another fight, that's where you want to be repositioning to the best place possible so that you can hit so you can actually have the best positioning, right? Whereas right
Okay.
here we're just kind of chilling cart. Now if no one else was on a cart and you were the only one there, then go ahead and do it. But I think that since we have 3 people here, we can probably go and take a high ground.
I guess I have trust issues when it comes
Mm.
to trusting people to push the cart because so many times it just gets left behind.
Which in that case, like if it gets left, like you can see like, hey, are there people, are
Yeah.
people going to point? If they are going to point, then you can go and rotate. Or if you see no one's on, like if no one's on point, just by paying attention and being aware of it, then you can go
Hmm.
back and push it. But then at the same time, if they're off of it for like half a second or a couple seconds, like honestly, it won't make that big of a difference as long as somebody's on it and moving it. So if you feel like it's not like if you notice it's not moving at all, then you can go run and fetch it, which shouldn't take super long.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're kind of on this angle. So right now we're looking for maybe a nano. Zarya, I do not know if his full charge. Does not look like
No.
it. Yeah, you don't see the thing, so she looks like, yeah, she's 0. Okay, so probably not gonna want to nano her,
I
but
hope I don't nano her
yeah,
either. I don't remember if I do.
but we're still looking for a nano. So now we're probably going to like the second best target here. So let's see, what are we gonna nano here is the
You're
question.
powered up. Get
Okay,
in
so we
there.
go for the Torb. I'm not sure if we're trying to go for the Torb or not. That looks like maybe we're trying to go for the Zarya.
I
That's
was
kind of slid.
muted. Yeah, I was going for the Zarya.
Yeah. You're muted in game, is what you're. Sorry.
No, I was muted right now, like in
Oh,
our,
okay.
our call.
Yeah. So here she's 37 energy. That's an okay one to go for. I wouldn't like, it's not the best, but it's also probably, and she's also a tank, so she's gonna inherently get value out of that. So honestly, I think that's a decent nano to go for.
You're
So
powered
when
up.
we're
Get
going
in
for a
there.
nano boost, okay, so 2 things here. Um, okay. First off, have you adjusted your nano boost sensitivity at all?
No, I have
No.
not.
Okay. Are you aware of what that does?
No, I am not.
Okay. So if you go to your options, then
Okay.
controls, all heroes here, and you go to Ana, she's the first one there. You
Yeah.
scroll down and you will see nano boost sensitivity. What that is basically when this is at 10%, which is the lowest, that means that you will literally have to be staring straight at the person for it to register. And if it is at 100%, it's going to be very lenient with who it's going on. So it's just going to go to whoever's closest to you, even if your
Oh
crosser's not
my
on them.
god. All right,
So
I just lowered
yeah.
that.
You don't want that at 10 because that's going to make it like a super hard skill shot to hit, which you don't want it to be. But you also don't want it at 100 because that can mean like in group clumps of people, it's going to not go to who you want it to go to. So I would probably recommend somewhere between like 60 and 80, maybe
Yeah, I
60 and
just moved it
70.
to 60.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can mess around with that. That's just going to make it more accurate. The other thing is just making sure we're paying attention to the fact that there's a Torb there, because he kind of just walks in front of it, and if we're paying attention, we can just not nano until he's out of the way, or we can move to the side. It's the same thing with your nade, right? You don't need, we want to pay attention to where our teammates are at, so we're not accidentally nading when they're walking in front of us or nanoing when they're walking in front of us. And then instead, what we can do is we can walk to the side or of them. We can wait till they move out of the way. We can walk in front and maybe get something like this, an angle like that. Just try to get around them. But of course, we just don't want to be accidentally nanoing the wrong thing all the time. So paying attention to our teammates is going to be a pretty important thing. And then that comes in a kind of like an awareness.
Walk it off. You're covered.
Yeah, I don't know why I pushed out there. I should not have there.
Yeah, so they're I mean, it wasn't too dangerous. Like here we are winning this fight, so they don't have many people to contest. Okay, so actually so right now they have 4 people versus 4 people, almost 5 people. No, okay, never mind. We're not winning this fight, but by very much. I don't think this
Walk
was
it off.
too terrible. Like we just heal some
You're
people.
covered.
I think here we try to go for the sleep. Brig didn't really contest us. So I didn't really see any issue with that. We tried to go for the sleep and then we used cover and backed up. So
Okay.
that was definitely not any problem at all. And we didn't, at the very minimum, we didn't get punished for it. Nades just in general need work. Both with like the arc of them, like that last one we missed, this one we whiffed. Want to make sure we're just putting a lot more effort into it because nade, your anti nade is basically like an ultimate on a cooldown. Your 6-man anti nade can be more powerful than
Yeah.
your nano boost can be. So want to be looking to get value out of that, yet we're whiffing a bunch, only hitting one person, right? Just making sure we're doing more with it.
I need help. Continue back. My ultimate is charging.
Okay, really far back here. We'll talk about that nade tech when we get the chance. Yeah, but just like really far
I
back
will
there.
keep you
Make sure
here.
looking for sleeps as well. So on their team composition, what's the only they only have one thing that can contest you, right? They have the Sombra who can instantly get on top of us in the back line.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also have like some other teammates who can help us out. So it's not like they have a full dive that's going to be on top of us all the time. And even then, like Sombra's not even like a super dangerous character to be on top of us. It's not like a Tracer's like blinking around us.
Yeah.
So in any case, when when they don't really have anything to contest you, make sure that you're just using your abilities off a cooldown, right? Just make sure we're tossing them in. We haven't really been using our sleep it's a here we can like scroll back here and just see like we used it here, but then it's been 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 seconds before we use another sleep, right? So we just want to make sure we're
I
using
will
it and not
keep
holding
you
on to it,
healed.
just because we don't really need to hold on to it for anything. Now, that does change if they are on more flankers or more dive characters. Like if they are like, let's say they have like 2 flankers ish, right? Or they have a bit tracer who's constantly on top of you, or doomfist or something like that. Hold on to your sleep, right? That's where you would hold on to your sleep, though not necessarily your nade. And then if they're on a full dive where they're like all coming after you, then you'd hold on to
Mhm.
both abilities, right?
Okay.
Here we're just kind of not using the sleep. Make sure we're using it more often with both of our abilities. We're looking for both quantity and quality with them, so we're trying to get them out as much as possible while also getting good ones out. Whereas we
Okay.
just so far are I think in our sleep department are lacking on both. We haven't been getting good sleeps, and we also have not been using it very often. Nades we have been using often, though the quality could go up.
Okay.
So overall, sleeps is the one that we're using worse, but at the same time, nades is more important, and therefore they're kind of evenish.
Okay.
All right. Why don't we talk about strengths and weaknesses real quick? Just go through what you need to work on, and so as of the moment. So ability usage, we just talked through pretty much all that just a second ago, so I don't think I need to do too much of a recap. But sleeps, not. I think we've landed one, and then not using it too often. Nades, we're throwing them out more often, but we need to get the quality up so that we're
Okay.
getting them all. We're hitting more. We're getting better ones. We're doing more with it. So overall, our ability usage is probably. Let's think through this. So what was the other big one we were talking? We were just positioning was the other big one. Probably put this somewhere around like a medium, maybe like a medium high. Priority for you to work on.
Okay.
Now a now we're to your nano boost. We've only seen 2, yeah. So the first one was good. There was really good timing, good target. Second one we've already talked about. Just making sure we're getting it to the right person. But besides that, we also didn't. The timing was good for that. So honestly, nanos have been looking pretty solid. Now we'll see more as we go on. We've only seen 2 so far, but so far nano boosts are looking pretty solid and like a better part of our kit. So
Okay.
Nano's probably looking like a low priority, maybe a low to medium if we see more of them go wrong. So for now, we'll put it at a low. Might get bumped up a little bit. Mechanics of just going pew pew shoot shoot have been looking fine. I might at some point here talk about some scope. I'm just keeping an eye on our scope usage. I might talk about how we can use that a little bit better, but I'm just for now I'll just kind of put a pin in that. But for
Okay.
now, just general mechanics are looking fine. And then I don't think there's really anything else. So that one is going like low for now. Maybe as we talk about stuff, it could bump up to a low to medium, same as the ultimate usage. And then getting into awareness. Awareness we've talked a little bit about paying attention to, making sure we're not accidentally nanoing someone by paying attention to where your team is. And then besides that, honestly, we haven't talked about a ton in awareness, though that is usually a slower one to diagnose. So for now, I'm not gonna put that one as low as the other ones because the other ones we've actually seen a lot more for. So I'm gonna put that one like low to medium. And then finally we get to positioning. Positioning has been the one we talked a lot about, and positioning's not so great. So positioning is probably going like a medium high priority for you to work on. Just kind of probably the highest for now for you to work on, and then that will also prop up your ability usage as well. And then yeah, we'll keep going here. We'll adjust some up and down as we go along.
Yeah, I knew my positioning was bad.
Mhm.
I know it's something I needed to work on a lot. That's part of the reason why I hit you up to do this.
Yeah, well, now you know a lot of different areas in which you
Yeah.
can look to improve on it. Okay, so here again, just like quality of the ability usage. We toss 2 out here, but then they don't really do very much. All right, so here we're healing up, and then we're backing up real far. So we're currently at a 4 versus 2, so we can get aggressive. Right, we're at the advantage. We go for sleep onto cart. Right, so with your sleep, don't try to do anything crazy with it. Think of it as you just shooting someone with your gun. It's gonna travel in a straight projectile path. It's not, you don't want to. So far, an aim seems decently normal, right? Where you're just going pew pew shoot shoot and you're hitting things. And sometimes a lot of Ana players will just all of a sudden panic if they're sleeping or they're not sure what to do with it, and they'll go, they'll shoot the Torb here normal, and then the Zarya's like, big fat tank right in front of us, and then we all of a sudden go whooping, right? And we like do a random flick up. You can't really see the flick with the slow in-game or the replay sensitivity, but we'll do a crazy flick around with it, right as we're throwing it, and then all of a sudden it's like all different than our gun, but you just think of it as if we're trying to shoot the
Okay.
Sombra, right? With like let's say a left click, for example. I'd probably say it's a pretty similar to your just unscoped shot. So just think of it as that. Here we just kind of shoot at a cart. Don't try to do anything crazy with it. Make sure we're looking at the person while we're using it. Nade, we throw it up here, and then that just goes sailing past her. So just making sure we're getting good nades and sleeps and making sure we're paying attention to that, right? Because both of them just get whiffed.
You're going to be okay.
Okay, very out in the open again. Now this one slightly better, though it just goes like kind
little
of
past them.
little
Yeah.
past them. So again, just getting that arc down. I think we're just paying attention to how we're throwing them and keep it like try to get a feel for where they're
You're
going.
going to be okay.
Here we just throw it too far, and then that could be a very very big 3-man anti-nade that turns into a 1-man anti-nade, right? They're all clumped up on top of each other. That could be a 3-man. But it turns into a 1-man. Sleeps, right? Just using that thing. And again, just kind of tossing it in there. Doesn't really do very much. Okay, sleeps. Not okay. So tossing it in there. Not really doing any much. Try to here we try to sleep the Reinhardt, who's bubbled and has a shield.
Yep.
Zarya's to the right without a bubble or anything. Sombra's on your top left without anything. Right? There's just other people we could go for besides the Reinhardt who has shield up. So make sure again, even if we're not going on that off angle, we're still looking to avoid those obstacles. We're still looking to avoid our teammates. We're still, because off angles aren't always going to be an option, right? There's a really off angles are only going to exist as an option like 60% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So those other times we're looking to just avoid those other obstacles in a different way. So we're trying to get around our teammates by walking to the left or the right of them. We're getting around shields by shooting to the people outside of them or waiting till he drops it. We're getting around the tanks by trying to throw it past them instead of just at them, right? So there's a lot of different things that we can do to get around them instead of just tossing it straight at Reinhardt who has a shield and a bubble, right?
Yep.
Not good. I've seen it.
All right.
You want to live.
I am personally seeing to the payload.
You have my thanks.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Are you? I'm overloading.
My ultimate is ready. Let's do this.
Hey there.
Yeah, so we're looking for another nano here. Let's see how and when we use it. Noticing a tiny little bit of overhealing, not an insane amount, but that's
Okay.
just something to keep in mind. Is just when people are full HP, make sure we're not throwing shots at them because that's just a time waster. If it happens enough times, and it's also going to be times where we could be doing other things like reloading, and then it also just means we have less ammo. So it's just pay attention to health bars, make sure we're not healing people when they're full HP because it doesn't do anything. Right, that's time where we could be looking for somebody else to shoot at.
This will only hurt.
Massive nades, right? That's a pretty good, decent nade, and we chuck it in there. So actually, we're 6 minutes. Why don't we talk about this? We'll talk about some scope usage as well as the other tech thing. I'm just trying to. I was looking for like more than one tiny thing to go over before we came back to the training range.
Okay.
Never.
So
stop
just
fighting for what
real
you
quick with the
believe
tech
in.
thing, just because it's really fast and really simple, is basically this is a scope tech for landing long distance nades, or yeah, a tech to land long distance nades. So how this works is you're going to scope in. This does not work if you're unscoped. You're going to therefore take your ultimate charge and line that up with an enemy. And if you throw a nade, that nade is going to hit the
The pain is
person
coming.
from any height, any range.
Huh.
Yep, so this is going to be very useful for hitting longer distance ones. Now, these guys, since we're more on even footing with them, we're going to line up our Q with them, so that this nade goes in and hits them. Right.
This will only
Ha.
hurt for a minute.
Well, what do you know? That's really good tech.
Yep. So moving on to scope usage. So scope usage, I wouldn't say is like really like a stupid high priority. Like it's I was kind of iffy on whether or not we'd go over it or not, but we'll go over it anyways here just because it's slightly inconsistent. But just keep in mind that this is, I think, where do we put our mechanics at low? I think this is just bump it up to like a low to medium. I wouldn't say this brings it up very high, but
Okay.
just with our scope usage of just when should we be using which, sometimes we're messing it up a little bit. So just keep in mind rough ranges of when you should be using each. Advantages of your left click, right, are you keep visibility, you keep mobility, and it's going to be easier to land at close ranges because it is a projectile. That means that roughly within this range on squishy targets, so on basically anything that's not a tank, we're going to be unscoping within roughly 10 meters of them. There's a little bit of lenience where you can go a little bit further, but we're going to be unscoping within this range. On a tank, they have a little bit of bigger of a hitbox, so you can go up to maybe like 15 meters, right? Again, a little bit of like a range on them. I don't think you should really be ever unscoping past the 20-meter range,
Okay.
just because that's too far. Now, scoping has a bunch of advantages that come along with it too, right? Disadvantages, though, are now you lose visibility, you lose mobility, but you gain value at ranges because now you're zoomed in so you can see people easier. You have a lower sensitivity and you have an instant shot rather than a projectile, which is going to allow
Yeah.
you to hit people better at a range. So that means that anything past those ranges that we discussed are going to be ranges where we're scoping in. Now sometimes I'm noticing that we're doing those like kind of a little bit of wrong distances, like we'll unscope while we're back here, or we'll scope in when we're like right here on somebody, right? Just aren't the ranges where we want, especially the scoping one, I would say is the more often one where we're just
Okay.
scoping in when we're way too close on people. So just make sure we're working on that one, and then quick scoping, right? The just quick on when that's useful. I haven't seen us quick scoping a ton, but
It's it's still something I'm trying to get used to and
which
practice with.
it's also not even useful a ton. I've known people who quick scope like 80% of the time. I'm like, no, stop it. Not
Yeah,
bad.
I don't like that.
Yeah, quick scoping is only useful in certain situations because it has a super low fire rate, right? You're going to be healing very slowly when you're quick scoping. But advantages of quick scoping is you keep your mobility and visibility while also getting that instant shot from a range. So this is particularly when you are under pressure. So like let's say you're getting shot at or you're getting ulted or you have a tracer on top of you or something like that, and you're trying to heal somebody at a range. This is where we can quick scope. This would be like I've noticed a couple times where maybe this would be useful where we're just kind of like sitting still, scoped in, and I'm like, okay, you have like people looking straight at you. Maybe we should not be sitting still, scoped in,
Okay.
right? Because that's just gonna make it super easy for them to headshot us and kill us and do damage to us, right? When we're moving super slowly and we can't see as much. And then on the other time where you can quick scope is when you're like pushing in aggressively. So like let's say our team's all the way up there and we're walking back from spawn. We can like quick scope to heal them instead of like sitting here and scoping and crawling forwards, because then they could just run around the corner and then they die, right? So here we can like quick scope while we're walking in. That way we can get there faster until we're within a left click range,
I keep you
right?
busy.
Okay.
So those are the two reasons why you would use it.
Okay.
Traveling to Havana, ready for battle.
Okay, you have any clue where we were at?
We were just pushing up the hill on right here.
So we're like right up over here.
Yeah, cause I just got that nade a little bit ago.
I think it was before this.
Is there a
Oh,
So it should be right.
No, because we never
Oh
died.
wow, yeah.
Alright, so we actually have not very far through this VOD at all. Okay. Alright, so we got the nade in. Right, now we got a pick off of it. Probably can be pushing forwards, maybe get a nano. No, we got 2 picks, now nano's probably not needed, right? So we can just get aggressive. Terrible grab, good job Zarya.
That's gold.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm here too.
Very nice sleep. Nope, that's a very good one. Right, good
I
reaction
like,
times.
especially when they have like things like Kree, I do try to save my sleep. We'll be a little bit more hesitant to use it.
Yeah, so I mean, I really say I wouldn't be hesitant to use it, but more so if you know that he has his ultimate, then you can hold on to it.
Okay.
Because McCree's not going to be like, he's not going to be like a tracer who's like on top of you in the backline at
Yeah.
all times. So in that instance, you probably still want to be using your sleep, especially if you see good opportunities for them. But you just be if you know that he has his ultimate, then you can hold on to it so you can cancel it, right?
Okay.
Here. Yeah, probably not necessary. So let's talk about how to tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight, because I've seen maybe a tiny dabble of this in another fight, but this is a good example of it. So, how to tell whether you have won or lost a fight, right? This mainly comes down to watching kill feed. When you look at the top right corner of your screen, you'll see when you
Yep.
are up people and when you are down people. When we are up 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage, right? When we have an advantage, we can play more aggressively because they have less people to come and shoot at us and tank and heal and damage, right? When we are up 2 to 3 people, that is a 1 fight. When we have won a fight, we no longer want to use ults because using ults would just be overkill and it's not going to change the fact that we won the fight. And then on top of that, we're going to want to get super aggressive so we can look to go and stagger the enemy team and get more kills on them. Now, this also goes the exact opposite way. When we are down 1 to 2 people, that is a disadvantage. Now, we didn't lose the fight yet, but we are at a disadvantage, so we might want to play a little bit more passive. We're losing the fight. Now, when we are down 2 to 3 people, that is a lost fight. Now, no ults in a lost fight because that would just be wasting it. And then you want to look to get out if possible, or if you can't get out, you want to let them kill you. That way you do not stagger yourself. And you've been playing the game for a while, so I assume you're familiar with the term staggering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in this instance, this is a 1 fight, so there's a couple things to tell us. First off, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus a 1, 2, 3, 3.5. Right?
Yeah.
You've already won this just based off of the numbers. So And then on top of that, we also have other like things such as the fact that we're trancing, and we're all full HP, which just feeds into the fact that we've already won this, right? So just that's the big thing here is just pay attention when you've won, because this nano just goes largely wasted when it probably
Mm-hmm.
wasn't necessary, right?
I am strong. Get me. I'm a fighter.
Yeah, so there's one fight, let's just see what we do. Sit on cart, you have no issue with that. Not really anywhere we could be rotating here.
Its destination.
Probably toss a healing nade in on that.
I was hacked right there.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I got EMP'd.
Yep, you're correct.
Okay, I was looking to do that and I couldn't.
Okay, so like this D.Va just kind of like you can see, for example, here where D.Va just bombed when you're down so many people that was just a wasted bomb. Right? It was basically what we
Yeah.
just did.
See you later.
So currently we are staying in this way too long. We lost this fight already. Our goal should be to get out if possible, or to let them kill us. Probably could be getting out with the amount of time that we had, but we just keep staying in and keep staying in, and we're trying to sleeper. And now we're trying to back out, trying to get in the middle, and then that was just probably shouldn't have been doing that, because now
Okay.
look, we're gonna come out of spawn and look at where our team's at. Right, they're all the way up there. Right, look at where our Torb's at,
Yeah.
our Doomfist at. Now, it's gold, and even up at a high rank, they might end up pushing in without you. They may not be paying attention to the fact that you're not there yet, which means that they would go in at a disadvantage, and then therefore that could cause even more staggering, and then a stagger train where it just keeps happening over and over and over again. Or if they wait for you, then you've just wasted time, right?
Okay.
So we would just want to make sure we're paying attention to whether or not we won or lost, and that comes in at awareness. So I think we put it awareness at like a low to medium, so we'll bump that up to a medium now that we've had more to talk about in that
Okay.
section.
Reason the payload isn't moving.
Like I said, one of the slower to diagnose.
Go. I'll keep you healed.
And I do try to use comms as much as I can. Call out like, oh, we're up. Let's push in. Oh, we're down a healer.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, good calls to make, right? It's just being aware of the kill feed and then relaying it to your team so that they're not making mistakes. Like, really common ones. I would say is like a really good one to get used to is just no assaults. We've lost the fight, right? We're down 2 people, back out, right? That type of deal. You give the
Yeah.
quick. You give the quick. No assaults. That way you're going. That way they're going. Huh? Why not? And then you're like, and then you give the quick explanation. We've lost. Down multiple people, right? That way you're stopping over ulting, and you can also do the opposite way. No ults, we've won the fight, right? Or you can call when to push, when to back out, right? Those call outs are pretty important, yeah. So again, let's rewind back here a bit. So yeah, it looks like we just kind of chill here while our team's pushing in. Right, we see D.Va's all the way up there. We see our monkeys on the left. Yeah, we're just kind of sitting real far back. This is probably a perfect opportunity to just get closer for abilities, to just heal them easier. Probably don't need to be sitting this far back at that distance. Like we could just be pushing while healing them. Right, because now we're not really in a range to hit abilities, and we get like 1 purple. Not really going to do much with that. Just keep in mind, abilities are our carrying potential on Ana. They're what healing is how we do our job and how we just exist. But when we are landing big abilities, that's how we do things and make plays on Ana, and how we therefore look to carry games and do things, right? So you just want to make sure getting more value out of them. Okay, here we're just kind of chilling, probably peeking out in the open. A little bit too much when our team's regrouping.
You're going to be okay.
Alright, and then we're looking for a nano. Probably just going the monkey. So yep. So target priority has been really on point with it. So we're hitting the right things. So nano boost has been looking like the most solid thing out of your whole kit. So really good on that.
At least it's something good.
Yep. Alright, so rewind a little bit. First off, maybe okay, so we're trying to get in there. Maybe slightly aggressive here when we probably don't need to be running into them. Other thing here is that we see a perfect nade on the left, 2 people, right? I mean, like, what other clump of people are you going to find here? So 2 people is definitely doable here, and going for that nade's probably going to get you a decent bit of value. Another thing is that McCree, and then we hear the high noons, we turn around for him. All right, and then we're just on cart. So don't feel like you have to. So how sitting on cart works, right? On payload maps, we already talked about you have roughly 2 fights, right? In this first fight, your team is basically their objective. The enemy team's objective is not to stop the cart. Their objective is to win the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the second fight, their objective is now to stop the cart, not as while also winning the fight, right? They have a kind of a
Mm-hmm.
dual objective there. Um, that means that on this second push, when we're about to cap, supports probably don't want to be sitting on point because that is the one place where the enemy team is going to be going.
Okay.
Right, this is the one place where they're all going to have to go to to contest it and to stop it. And being on point is just way too far forwards and aggressive. Whereas probably where we should be standing, just to give you a better idea, it would be more so on this corner. Cover usage right here. If we needed to at some point, right, there's an off angle through this room. And then even maybe this is like slightly more flanky, but you also have this if you for kind of off angle. Like if you like, let's say for example, the cart's like further forwards here, we could position in this room, have a health pack, have an off angle, right, have cover, right, but we probably don't want to be standing out in the open on the middle of cart when we're about to cap point because that's just where all the danger and everyone's going to be at. So we just want to make sure that we are not doing that, and then therefore we can stay alive and actually have an impact.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get you healed up.
So
And I switched because over time I seem to get back.
Jeez.
My Lucio is god awful.
Push on. That's not right.
I don't know if we'll get that far. Like when we're playing defense, I switch to Mora just to get a little bit more healing since we're closer to the point.
Yeah.
Lucio.
Are you wanting to just skip over Lucio here, or?
Yeah, we can skip over Lucio.
All
That
right.
was a one fight.
Okay, let's go over here. So here I'd probably say that high ground would probably be the best place to go.
Okay.
So positioning wise, right, we're trying to put people out of our line of sight. So from here, we get good nades or good angles to go for our nades from. We can hit people if they go right side. We can hit them if they go main. We have some we have some high ground usage that we can use. If our team's positioning over here on the right, we can position here on the edge and see people. Now, if our team goes out of our line of sight, then don't worry about dropping. Dropping is definitely something you can go for pretty easily here. And then this where we're at currently is a pretty decent spot as well because we're around the corner. This isn't too much terrible. Maybe starting off at the top just to get some easier nades in.
Yeah, I remember consciously, like, when we were doing this point, I was like, alright, I'm going to play a little bit back around the corner just to work on my positioning a little bit.
Yeah. Here, really far back, right? So just for example, closer up, right? Somewhere like around here.
Okay.
Off angle right through here, right?
Yeah.
With a just really easy angle to just, come through to find a big fat nade, right? Just examples. Okay, instead of just trying to chuck it through and then hoping it hits, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just...
Go. I keep you healed.
So why don't we exit out here? So we're going to now get into the main points of the session, do a quick review, and then wrap up the session from there. So basically, number one thing, as discussed, has been the positioning, right?
Never
Too
stop
close,
fighting
to
for what
in
you
certain
believe in.
situations, too far in most situations. We sometimes will be not we're very far out in the open a lot of the time. So just remember, good positioning is the use of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Take high grounds when there are options, especially if it acts as an off angle as well, right? Take off angles to get nades in, right? Don't go for flanks. And then those are like all of the main ones, but it's happening very often that we're messing up with them, right?
Yeah.
Like happening very frequently. I don't know why I'm at 100 ping in here, but I guess it's on a different server. Moving on to number two. Number two thing to work on is going to be your ability usage, right? Landing nades, better quality nades. We're using them frequently, but we just need to be landing better quality nades because a lot of them are just whiffing and they're not hitting anything. So watch out for the three things that can block them. Our teammates shields and tanks, and we're trying to hit as many people as possible with them. Aim at the feet in between people. We talked about the nade tech to scope in and line up your ultimate.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are. Let's see what else was that. Yep, just make sure we're intentionally trying to go for better ones, take off angles to land better ones. Sleeps, use them a little bit more frequently, and look for better quality ones. We used it a little bit less frequently than our nade usage, which we can do if they have more and more flankers and or dive, right? That's when we can do it, but not in the game we were in was it really necessary to hold on to it. And then on top of that, just make sure we're looking to land them as well. Don't go for anything crazy. We're basically just gonna line up our shot and aim it as if we were just aiming a regular projectile. So we're just gonna look at this person a little bit ahead and toss it in, right? It's just a pretty slow projectile, the same way we'd like just try to hit our normal shots. Now moving on, number 3 is going to be at our, let's see, was it, yeah, probably awareness, right? So awareness, just paying attention to kill feed, just as a quick reminder. 1 to 2 is a advantage or a disadvantage. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight. No ults in a won or lost fight. I don't know what the heck is up with this lag in here, but no ult in a won or lost fight. Get super aggressive in one fight and back out if you can in a lost fight, or if you can't, let them kill you, right? That way you're not staggering, which we did a couple times.
Now, is it better there to let them kill me or just like jump off the map?
Jump off the map if it's an option, right?
Okay,
but it's not always going to be an option. If it's an option and it's right there, go for it, because that's just going to be faster and it won't give them ult charge.
Yep.
Right?
Okay. That I do try to like kill myself if I do see a lost fight and I'm not ever committed.
Yep. Now on top of that, just make sure being aware of where our teammates are at, and then that's pretty much it. Oh, also the Ana positioning. I missed one thing in there. Just remember the 3 check boxes, right, of Ana positioning. Make sure you can see your team. 2, make sure the enemy team can't see us. Put them out of our line of sight when we're healing. And 3, make sure we're looking for angles where we can land nades, especially off angles, right? And then moving on to number 4 thing here is going to be your just mechanics, right? Your mechanics. Make sure that we're scoping at appropriate ranges. 10 meters from squishy targets, 15 meters from tanks, and then anything past those is scoped, and then you quick scope when you're under pressure or when you're pushing in and you're trying to take space while trying not to be super slow. And then finally, last one is going to be your ultimate usage, which was actually looking very fine. Just make sure you're not letting anybody steal it, all right?
Okay.
And you're also
awesome.
Also, there's another time where you also ulted in a won or lost fight. So actually, that one's close for the tie there at the bottom. But
Okay.
I think you have the right idea, and especially once you lower that sensitivity and you get used to it, like I think you have a really good direction with it at the very least. So, so any other questions about anything we've gone over?
No, you covered pretty much like everything. Like I suspect, like I know I could do better with my sleeps and stuff, especially. That game in particular is pretty bad. Like there's been like many a games, like it's also luck of the draw, but like I hear Ryan and then just like hear him flanking and just like sleep his all as soon as he pulls his shield down, like that kind of thing. I'm okay with awareness like for enemy positioning, but not so much with like actual like how far it should be. And you touched on that very like pretty well.
Yeah. Definitely just something we want to work on, right? It's just hitting those is one we just want to focus on while we're playing, right? While you're, we have an extra 2 minutes here, so I might as well talk about that, right? But just as we're going along and playing and working on it, because I didn't necessarily give you super in-depth advice on how to hit like how to hit your sleep, right? But how you look to focus on that is the same way you look to focus on anything, and that is to make sure you're focusing on it while you're playing, right? And that you're not going to autopilot, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to play to win, because when you play to win, you're just going to end up stagnating. You're never going to improve. Whereas if you play to improve, you're going to therefore improve and then also win more. And that can also de-stress as well, right? Now, while you're playing, your brain will basically look like this, where you're just going sleep, nade, awareness, right? Or where you're constantly giving yourself a reminder and thinking about that thing. And when you do that for a long enough period of time, you're going to start to notice, so it's not my sleeps are doing, or not, sorry, I messed that up. So when you do that, right, your sleeps are going to start to look a little bit better because you're intentionally thinking about how you're placing each and every one, right? And if you do that for a long enough period of time, then it's going to start to form as a good habit, and then you no longer need to think about it as much, right? It
Yeah.
just kind of comes naturally. So that's how you look to improve on things. Just make sure you're not doing every single thing at once, right? Typically, you know that's going to overwhelm you. So do one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things. All right. So then if you have nothing else, I'm going to stop the recording there.